Joe Dispenza revealed to me 3 secrets about the law of assumption that will shock you. The first one, you've never manifested anything in your life. The second one, you've been assuming wrong for years. And the third one will completely free you from everything that's keeping you from having the life of your dreams. I was in a private conversation with only 6 people when he shared this. And what I'm going to reveal in the next 25 minutes might sound impossible, but it works within days. If you found this video, your soul is calling you to discover these secrets. Each one of them will break a belief that's keeping you stuck. And at the end, you'll have the exact technique that transforms everything. If you feel ready for this revelation, subscribe to the channel right now and write in the comments, "I assume my new reality." These words will anchor the energy of the 3 secrets we're about to discover together. You'll feel the difference immediately, but before revealing each secret, let me tell you exactly where and how I discovered this. It was in that private room in San Diego 3 years ago. Joe Dispenza was sitting across from me, along with other researchers, you know. The conversation revolved around impossible manifestation cases they had documented. That's when he looked me in the eyes and said something that changed my life. But first, let me share the setting. We were in a small conference room, just 6 people who had been selected for this private discussion about consciousness research. The energy in that room was different, like we were about to receive information that wasn't meant for the general public. Joe started talking about cases that defied everything we thought we knew about manifestation. People healing from terminal illnesses overnight, others manifesting life changes in days, not months or years. But there was something these people had in common that most manifestation teachers completely miss. That's when Joe revealed the first secret. And prepare yourself because it will shock you. People think they've already manifested things in their lives, he said. But the truth is, you've never manifested anything. Never. Not a single penny, not a relationship, not an opportunity. I was confused. How could I have never manifested anything? Because manifestation isn't creating something from nothing, Joe continued. It's revealing something that already exists. You don't manifest abundance. You align with the abundance that already exists. You don't manifest love. You connect with the love that's already yours. This first secret shattered everything I thought about manifestation. If I'd never manifested anything, then what was I doing wrong? That's when Joe revealed the second secret, even more shocking than the first. You've been assuming wrong for years, Joe told me, looking directly into my eyes. Everyone has. You assume you're going to have something in the future, but real law of assumption is about assuming you already are someone right now. This second secret left me even more confused. What's the difference? Joe noticed my confusion and continued, when you assume you're going to have money, your brain stays in the programming of someone who doesn't have money. When you assume you already are a naturally abundant person, your brain creates a new programming of abundance. That's when he told me about Rachel Davis, and it was through her story that I discovered the third secret, the most powerful one of all. Rachel Davis was a marketing consultant in Atlanta, earning $3,200 per month and wanting to reach $8,000. For 2 years, she applied all the traditional methods, visualization, affirmations, vision boards. Nothing worked. Until Joe taught her the 3 secrets he had revealed to me in that room. First, he explained that she had never manifested money in her life, only aligned or misaligned with abundance that already existed. Second, he showed her that she was assuming wrong, trying to have money instead of being an abundant person. And then came the third secret, the one that truly frees you from all limitation. The third secret, Joe said, is that manifestation isn't something you do. It's something you are. When you stop trying to get things and genuinely become a different person at a neurological level, manifestation happens automatically. And it was this third secret that completely transformed Rachel's life. Joe explained to her that her brain had been shaped by all the experiences she'd lived until that day. If she'd always struggled with money, she'd developed neural networks of scarcity. These connections determine how she perceives and interacts with reality. The problem, Joe continued, is that when you try to use the law of assumption to get something, your brain continues operating from the identity of someone who doesn't have it. You can visualize abundance all day long, but if your neurological identity remains that of a person in scarcity, that's what you'll manifest. Rachel finally understood. She was trying to use the law of assumption to get more clients, more money, more success. But her brain remained programmed as a consultant who struggles for results. It was a neurological contradiction. Joe then revealed the secret. Real law of assumption isn't about assuming you're going to have something. It's about assuming you already are someone. And when you truly become that person at a cellular level, manifestation stops being something you do and becomes something you are. It sounds subtle, but neurologically it's revolutionary. When you try to get something, you activate the neural networks of lack. When you assume being someone, you create completely new neural networks of identity, and identity always beats lack. Joe asked Rachel to define not what she wanted to have, but who she needed to be for $8,000 per month to be natural in her life. "Don't talk to me about money," he said. "Talk to me about identity." Rachel thought deeply. A consultant who earns $8,000 monthly would be someone who sees opportunities everywhere, someone who naturally adds value wherever she goes, someone whose creativity flows to solve complex problems and help companies grow, someone who charges for the real value she delivers, without guilt or hesitation. "Perfect," Joe responded. "Now stop trying to get money and start being that person." And that's when he taught Rachel the technique I'm going to share with you now. A technique based on his most advanced research on neuroplasticity that few people know about. Joe explained that the brain doesn't distinguish between lived experience and intensely imagined experience. When you imagine something with sufficient sensory detail and emotion, your brain interprets it as real and begins forming new connections corresponding to that reality. But here's the secret, Joe told Rachel. Most people imagine external scenarios. You're going to imagine internal states. You'll explore what it's like to be that person, not have that person's things. The first thing Joe asked was for Rachel to identify the ideal moment for neural reprogramming. The first 15 minutes after waking up, when the mind is still in theta state, the same state he identifies as ideal for identity change. Every morning before even opening your eyes, you'll ask a different question, Joe instructed. Instead of, "How am I going to get more clients today?" you'll ask, "How would a naturally abundant consultant wake up today?" This simple question would be the neurological switch that would change everything. Instead of activating the programming of need, it would activate the programming of natural abundance. Rachel started the next morning. Still with eyes closed, she asked the question and began exploring sensorially what it would be like to inhabit this new identity. How would this person breathe? Rachel realized that a naturally abundant consultant breathes more deeply, with confidence. There's no anxiety restricting the diaphragm. How would this person stretch, with genuine pleasure, without rushing to chase after something? There was a quality of presence, of someone who knows the day will bring opportunities naturally. How would she think about the day beginning? Rachel discovered that a naturally abundant consultant doesn't plan how to get clients. She plans how to better serve the clients who will inevitably appear. Joe had explained that this sensory exploration creates what neuroscientists call a somatic experience. It's not a mental visualization. It's a reprogramming of the entire nervous system. In the first week, Rachel noticed subtle changes. She woke up calmer. Her sales conversations flowed more naturally. She stopped desperately chasing leads and started focusing on adding real value. But this is just the beginning, Joe had warned. Real transformation happens when you take this new identity into your daily actions. Throughout the day, whenever Rachel caught herself returning to old patterns of worrying about billing, she used the question Joe called the neurological switch. How would someone naturally abundant handle this situation? This question instantly reconnected her with the new programming she was cultivating. Instead of responding from old conditioned patterns, she responded from her new neural identity. In the second week, something interesting started happening. Rachel noticed she was handling everyday situations differently. A casual conversation at the coffee shop turned into a networking opportunity. A client complaint email became a chance to demonstrate excellence in customer service. A presentation that would have made her nervous before became an exciting opportunity to show expertise. Joe told me he observed this pattern in all cases of rapid transformation he studied. When people change their internal identity, external actions align naturally, without effort. It's like Rachel had switched the brain's operating software, Joe explained to me. Same person, but running a completely different program. In the third week, the transformation accelerated. Rachel began having insights about marketing strategies she'd never considered. These weren't forced ideas or copied from somewhere. They were original perceptions that emerged naturally from the new person she was becoming. She completely reformulated her commercial approach, created a unique consulting method, and started attracting larger companies. But the most fascinating part, she wasn't doing this to get money. It was the natural expression of who she had become. It was at this point in the conversation that Joe revealed something even deeper. He told me he had started monitoring Rachel with equipment from his clinic, the same equipment he uses to measure brain changes in his intensive retreats. What I discovered shocked me, Joe said. In just 3 weeks, Rachel had developed new neural networks. I'm not talking about subtle changes, I'm talking about measurable brain rewiring. Joe explained that when you combine clear intention with elevated emotion consistently, exactly what Rachel was doing every morning, you signal new genes in new ways. This means you literally become a different person at a genetic level. But here's what most people don't understand, Joe continued. This only works when you stop trying to feel emotions about what you don't have and start feeling the natural emotions of who you're becoming. Rachel had discovered this intuitively. During her morning reprogramming sessions, she didn't force feelings of gratitude for money she didn't have. Instead, she allowed the natural confidence of a successful consultant to emerge organically. It wasn't a manufactured emotion, but the natural emotional state of the new identity she was assuming. Joe showed me Rachel's brainwave charts. Look here, he pointed. In the first measurements, the patterns were chaotic, typical of someone in constant need. 3 weeks later, observe the coherence. This is what we call heart-brain coherence. He explained that the human heart has more than 40,000 neurons. It's literally a second brain. When you combine clear mental intention with elevated and coherent heart emotion, you create a powerful electromagnetic field that directly influences the reality around you. Rachel developed this coherence naturally, Joe said. And this created a field of attraction around her that other people could feel even without consciously understanding. That's exactly what happened. In the 4th week, a former client called offering a project 3 times larger than anything Rachel had ever done. A company she had contacted months before unsuccessfully returned her call interested in her services. A referral came through a casual conversation at a party. But this wasn't luck or coincidence, Joe clarified. It was the electromagnetic field of her new identity attracting aligned opportunities. Rachel finished the 2nd month with $6,400 in billing, not because she chased money, but because she had become someone who naturally creates value and attracts abundance. Joe measured her brainwaves again. The transformation was complete, he told me. Rachel no longer needed to do exercises to assume the new identity. She had neurologically become that person. In the 3rd month, Rachel billed $7,400. Not because she applied manifestation techniques, but because it was natural for who she had become. And here's the most important discovery, Joe revealed to me. Rachel went through what I call the initiation period in the 2nd week, but managed to get through it because she understood it was part of the process. Joe explained that during neural reprogramming, the unconscious mind tries to pull you back to old patterns. That's when discomfort, intense doubts, even challenging situations in life emerge. The old brain is trying to prove that the new identity isn't real. Rachel went through exactly that. In the 2nd week, she had 3 sleepless nights, with her mind bombarding thoughts about losing current clients and catastrophic bankruptcy scenarios. For a moment, Joe told me, she almost gave up. But Joe had prepared Rachel for this period. It's your nervous system rejecting the new programming, he explained to her, like a neurological immune system. If you keep practicing, it accepts the new identity and stops resisting. Rachel persisted. She continued with the morning practice, continued using the neurological switch during the day, continued acting from the new identity. In the third week, the resistance completely disappeared. When we measured again, Joe told me, it was like we were looking at a completely different person's brain. Not only had the neural patterns changed, the actual physical structure had reorganized. Joe explained to me that this is neuroplasticity in action. The brain literally rebuilds itself based on the experiences you consistently create. Rachel had created the experience of being a naturally abundant consultant long enough for her brain to assume this as her new default reality. And here's the most fascinating part, Joe continued. After this transformation, manifesting wasn't something Rachel did anymore. It was something she was. He told me that Rachel stopped needing to use techniques, not because she had reached a financial goal, but because she had become someone whose natural reality is abundance. Opportunities flowed naturally because it was natural for who she had become. This is law of assumption at the deepest level, Joe told me. When you truly assume an identity, you stop trying to manifest results and simply live the results that are natural for that identity. That's when Joe revealed something that completely changed my understanding about collective manifestation. He told me he had observed Rachel throughout the entire process, not just individually, but as part of a small group of people doing the same practice. I discovered something extraordinary, Joe said. When a group practices identity transformation simultaneously, a morphogenetic field is created that accelerates everyone's change. He explained that each person generates a personal electromagnetic field that extends up to 8 meters beyond the physical body. When several people with aligned intentions practice together, these fields synchronize, creating a much more powerful collective field. Rachel was part of a group of 12 people, Joe told me, and all of them manifested transformations in record time. The collective field amplified each participant's individual capacity. This explained why people in Joe's intensive retreats frequently experience changes that would take years to achieve alone. The collective energetic field accelerates everyone's neural reprogramming. And here's something even more interesting, Joe continued. This field transcends physical distance. We measured people doing the practice simultaneously on different continents and observed synchronization in brain patterns. It was at that moment that I understood why Joe rarely shares these discoveries publicly. It's not just about individual techniques, it's about collective transformation of human consciousness. When you truly understand this, Joe told me, you realize we're all connected by invisible electromagnetic fields. Your personal transformation contributes to the collective elevation of consciousness. He told me that Rachel, months later, began teaching other consultants about professional identity transformation, not because she wanted to become a coach or mentor, but because it was natural for who she had become to share what she learned. And here's what impresses me most, Joe said. Rachel doesn't teach manifestation techniques. She teaches identity transformation. Because she understood that manifestation is consequence, not objective. When I asked Joe how someone could apply this without being part of a physical group, he smiled. That's exactly why I'm sharing this with you today. You can create this collective field through aligned communities, even virtually. Joe explained to me that when people share their identity transformation journeys, publicly declare their new identities, and support each other in the process, they create a version of the morphogenetic field he observed in laboratories. The key, Joe said, is specificity and public commitment. When you publicly declare what identity you're assuming, your brain interprets this as more real than private intentions. It accelerates the formation of new neural networks. That's when I understood why Joe had shared all this with me in that private conversation. It wasn't just for me to apply individually, but for me to help create collective fields of conscious transformation. Imagine, Joe said, thousands of people simultaneously transforming their neurological identities. The collective impact would be measurable globally. As we left that room in San Diego, Joe gave me one final instruction. When you share this, don't just teach the technique. Create community. Because individual transformation is powerful, but collective transformation changes the world. And that's exactly what I'm doing now with you. sharing not just the technique that transformed Rachel, but inviting you to be part of a community of people committed to conscious identity transformation. Now you understand the 3 secrets that Joe Dispenza revealed to me. First, you've never manifested anything. You've only aligned or misaligned with what already exists. Second, you've been assuming wrong, trying to have instead of being. Third, manifestation isn't something you do, it's something you are when you become neurologically a different person. And it was by applying these 3 secrets that Rachel transformed her reality in just 28 days. I'm going to show you exactly how she did it, so you can apply it today. Every morning, in those first 15 minutes after waking, when your mind is in the ideal state for neural reprogramming, do this exercise. Close your eyes and breathe deeply 3 times. Now, instead of visualizing external things, explore sensorially what it would be like to inhabit the new identity you're choosing to become. How does this person breathe? Let your breathing naturally adjust to the pattern of your new identity. Abundant people breathe differently than people in scarcity. People in deep love breathe differently than emotionally needy people. How does this person feel in their body? Let your posture and tensions adjust to the new identity. Your new personality expresses itself through the body. How does this person think? Don't force thoughts. Observe what mental quality emerges when you assume this identity. How does this person feel emotionally? Don't manufacture emotions. Allow the natural emotional state of this identity to appear organically. Spend at least 10 minutes exploring this, letting each cell familiarize itself with the patterns of your new identity. Joe Dispenza discovered that when you do this consistently, your brain doesn't distinguish between internal and real experience. New connections begin forming. Within weeks, you literally become a different person. But here's the part most people miss. Throughout the day, whenever you catch yourself returning to old patterns, use the magic question Rachel learned. How would someone with this new identity handle this situation? This question works like a switch in the brain. It instantly reconnects you with the new programming you're creating. And there's something that will dramatically accelerate your results. Joe Dispenza discovered that when you combine this mental practice with aligned physical action, the brain change happens 5 times faster. Don't just meditate, start acting like this new person would act. If your new identity is naturally abundant, how would you handle finances? How would you dress? How would you speak? How would you treat people? It's not pretending. It's allowing your new identity to express itself through real actions. Rachel started presenting her commercial proposals with the confidence of someone who knows the value she delivers. She invested in an advanced digital strategy course, reorganized her home office to reflect professionalism, and started charging fees compatible with her real expertise. It wasn't to get more money, it was the natural expression of who she had become. And the result was that transformation from $3,200 to $7,400 in 3 months. In addition to neural reprogramming, add this heart-brain coherence practice. Twice a day at noon and before sleep, place your hand over your heart and breathe consciously through it. With each inhale, imagine you're breathing in the emotional energy of your new identity. With each exhale, allow that energy to expand through your body and beyond. Don't force emotions. Simply allow the natural emotional state of your new identity to flow through your heart and radiate through your personal energy field. Joe Dispenza measured this field and discovered it can extend up to 8 meters beyond the physical body. When you develop heart-brain coherence, you literally transmit your new identity energetically to the environment around you. People respond differently to you. Opportunities appear synchronistically. Circumstances align in apparently magical ways. It's not magic. It's neuroscience applied to reality transformation. Practice this for 21 consecutive days, the time Joe Dispenza identified as necessary to form stable neural networks, and you'll see changes that will surprise you. But let me give you an important warning. During this process, you'll probably experience what Joe Dispenza calls the initiation period. It's when your unconscious mind tries to pull you back to old patterns. You might feel discomfort, intense doubts, even challenging situations appearing in your life. It's normal and necessary. Your old brain is trying to prove the new identity isn't real. It's like a defense system trying to reject the new programming. But if you keep practicing, this period passes and the new identity stabilizes. Rachel went through exactly this in the second week. She had 3 sleepless nights, her mind bombarding her with worries about losing current clients and catastrophic thoughts about bankruptcy. But she continued with the daily practice, knowing it was her old brain trying to keep her in the familiar identity of a consultant who struggles for clients. She emerged as a literally different person, not just with different financial results, but with completely transformed identity. And here's something fascinating Joe Dispenza observed. After stabilizing the new identity, manifesting isn't something you do. It's something you are. You stop trying to create reality and simply become someone whose natural reality is what you wanted to manifest. Rachel no longer needs to do exercises to get clients. She naturally attracts opportunities because she's someone who adds value wherever she goes. Abundance flows naturally from who she became. She became what she wanted to experience. And this is the highest form of law of assumption, when assuming becomes being, and being creates spontaneous manifestation. Now Joe Dispenza's last discovery that can exponentially accelerate this entire process. He discovered that when a group of people practices identity transformation together, a transformation energy field is created. The collective field amplifies each participant's individual manifestation capacity. That's why people in his intensive retreats frequently experience changes that would take others years to achieve individually. The collective field accelerates everyone's transformation. You can create this by sharing your practice with people on a similar journey. It doesn't need to be in person. Joe Dispenza proved that energetic connection transcends physical distance when there's synchronicity of intention and practice. That's why I invite you to connect with our community here. People applying these principles and supporting each other in this journey of assuming new identities. If you felt deep resonance with everything I shared, write in the comments what new identity you're choosing to assume. Be specific. Instead of, "I want to be rich," write, "I assume being someone who naturally creates value and flows with abundance." When you publicly declare this, it activates what scientists call neurological commitment. Your brain interprets public statements as more real than private intentions, accelerating the formation of new connections. If you want to go deeper into these conscious neurological transformation practices, subscribe and activate notifications. Every week I share advanced techniques based on the latest research Joe Dispenza and other pioneers are developing. In the next video, I'm going to reveal the second part of the conversation I had with Joe, the specific technique he personally uses to manifest synchronistic opportunities in record time. It's something he's never taught publicly, but that I observed working almost magically during those 3 days in San Diego. But for today, your mission is clear. Start today with identity reprogramming, using exactly the method that transformed Rachel. Remember every detail. Wake up and ask how your new identity would wake up. Explore sensorially what it's like to be that person. Use the neurological switch during the day. Act from the new identity, and develop heart-brain coherence through conscious emotional practice. You're not trying to get a different life. You're becoming a different person. And different people live different realities. True law of assumption isn't about assuming you're going to have something in the future. It's about assuming you already are someone now. And when you truly become neurologically that person, manifestation stops being something you do and becomes something you are. Rachel proved it's possible. Joe Dispenza scientifically documented how it works. And now you have all the tools for your own neurological transformation. So assume your new identity with courage, practice with consistency, connect with our community here, and prepare for a reality that will exceed your most optimistic expectations. Because when neuroscience meets conscious spirituality, when individual transformation becomes collective movement, the impossible doesn't just become possible, it becomes inevitable. Thank you for staying until the end and for being committed to your transformation. Until the next video, remember, you're not limited by who you were. You're free to neurologically assume who you choose to be. And that, as Rachel discovered, changes absolutely everything.